presentable. So welcome to the Join Dota League Season 4. This is the American Division 1. It's going to be one game between the Houses Down and Wheel Wreck while whistling. Technically it is a best of two series, but the Houses Down did get a def loss for game number 1 as they failed to show up in the lobby on time, and it's an hour behind schedule. So I suppose we're going to be ending when we're supposed to. I'm Grandis V, casting here on HeflaTV 2, and I'm joined by Mike Loris.
5 seconds.
Yeah, so it should be a pretty interesting game, if for no other reason that the Houses Down are running with a ragtag crew of players, Daz, Ned, and Dynasty TA. Sure, whatever standards you could find. Ned's certainly a notable name. The other two, not as much. But for Wheel Wreck while whistling, though they are currently all in the stand and tag, they are pretty much all on the team. So they have to fix that, but, it's pretty much their full lineup. And these are some pretty notable North American players.
Yeah, definitely, and they've been doing very well in the Join Dota League so far, and we'll just have to see if they're going to be able to keep up that streak. In the 4 best of 2s that they've played, they've taken every single one of them 2-0, which is pretty impressive. To start with this draft, we're going to see Tidehunter Batrider and Faceless Void Brewmaster banned out by either side respectively, and a first pick Death Prophet from THD, but Wheel Wreck!
Thank
I
you.
love them! Like,
already my favorite team.
Absolutely. First pick Omni Knight coming out from them.
So, okay, so here's like the theory craft behind the first pick. It's that you pick up a hero that is either so ridiculously strong that you could go in any direction, or you pick up a hero that you can very easily build your entire team around. And I think it's going to be the second one where Wheel Wreck are going to be trying to pursue, where they're going to try to build their entire team around this Omni Knight. And it looks like with this Jakiro, that means Death Ball and Push. So it's going to be a very Necrophos-y type of Omni Knight.
Yeah, fair enough. Whether it's a support offlaner or how they're going to lane it is still up for grabs. Omni Knight's a hero that we don't get to see very often. I'd like to see it in the mid, but up against a Death Prophet, not a particularly favorable matchup. So we'll just have to see as the draft progresses, even though they're probably going to focus all of their other 3 picks around this Omni Knight Jakiro core. What this Omni Knight's role is still yet to be seen. Only we'll know.
Yeah, and usually from what I've seen of Omni Knights, that is not that common, first of all, but usually they're played as a core role. Even though he has all these heals and all these very supporty looking skills, you put this guy into any other game, he will be considered a very supporty character. But usually he's laned either an off lane or mid, and he's given a lot of farm. And that's actually kind of weird to think about, but having a high level of repel as well as purification, just going to absolutely wreck the enemy, especially when you're planning on playing the game very aggressively, along with the Jakiro. So I'm expecting this Omni Knight to take some sort of core role. Otherwise, you could pick up a support Omni Knight whenever you want. It doesn't have to be first pick.
And it's not going to get banned out. There's
Ever.
really no reason to ban out Omni Knight, even though he is, really good against Death Prophet. Just having the Guardian Angel for the rest of your team to stop that physical damage, it's really important. And, I don't know, he's a useful hero that probably should see a little bit more play, but I am hoping that we see him in the core role, and then he gets up a little bit of farm. For the Houses Down, it's going to be the tried and true Ogre Magi. Nothing too out of the ordinary there.
Yeah, so the Houses Down, they're going to go for a very standard opening. They're going to pick up the very powerful heroes that they can go in any direction with. Your Wheel Wreck, you have an Omni Knight and Jakiro. Do you just go full out YOLO and just try to end the game by 20 minutes? It seems like that should be their game plan, but I don't know. Up against Death Prophet, that seems pretty difficult.
5
Yeah,
seconds.
it definitely does. So I'm not exactly sure what the plan is for Wheel Wreck. Maybe it's going to be to go aggressive, but in a different fashion. Maybe go really aggressive towards enemy heroes, pick up something really mobile that, if given Magic Immunity, can completely crush the enemy team, maybe like a Weaver. I don't know. We'll just have to see what they have in mind. For now, Viper is banned out by the Houses Down. A pretty solid ban at that. Scarth Mage has somehow slipped his way through this pool, and I'm not sure if Wheel Wreck will decide to pick that up, but probably a decent ban up against THD.
Seems a little bit too standard, I think. It would be really good, but they first picked an Omni Knight, so I think we should think of those more fringy heroes that would have a pretty good impact on this game. Of course, yeah, if you're talking about really fringe, you go to Huskar, you go to Pudge. As much as I would love to see it, I would say the odds are low, but I would also say the odds are low of first pick Omni Knight, so
yeah, I think that's fair. If we're going to see it ever, I think this is the game to look for it. With Omni Knight, Pudge and Huskar become incredibly scary. I would like to see Huskar played quite a lot more. In the current meta, he's pretty much ignored, and honestly, I don't think for any particularly good reason. It's going to be a Shadow Fiend for Wheel Wreck, and he's going to benefit very heavily from having that Omni Knight's Repel, maybe allowing him to delay his BKB till later on. It looks like offlane Omni Knight maybe in a dual lane with mid Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, that seems like a certain possibility for Wheel Wreck. Shadow Fiend also here that we don't see that often. I think probably desensitized to this hero because he was in the pro scene forever, and he's always just kind of there. He is very soft, and the House is Down have an Ogre Magi as one of their supports. As you said, Skywrath's still in the pool. Shadow Fiend is, one of the easiest heroes to gank in the game, and though he does do a lot of damage, he's also extremely fragile. And hell, I don't even know if having Omni Knight on your team is going to let Shadow Fiend be tanky enough to comfortably survive against what the Houses Down are going to pick up. Just because he doesn't have any HP, he has a little bit of armor, but if he gets hit with any sort of magical burst, then he's just dead. Very similar to a Terrorblade, actually.
Yeah, definitely. For now, the Houses Down are taking quite a bit of their time thinking about this next pick. Oh dear. We have a plethora of disconnects.
No.
It looks like their drafter's still in, though, so that's kind of nice.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. You don't really need anyone else. Just pick someone. Yeah, there you go. That's
wow,
not
what an
too surprising.
underwhelming pick after a minute and 40. Like, it's just Skywrath.
I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to figure out their disconnecting issues. I mean, the Skywrath Ogre Magi is a great combination. Minor synergies there with the Death Prophet, though not that many. The Skywrath Ogre Magi is probably one of the more aggressive support duos that you could pick up, and if you know that the enemy is going to be playing aggressively, which it seems like Wheel Wreck is going to try to do, then you want heroes that can fight early. And right now, all of the Houses Down heroes are perfectly capable of fighting early.
Yeah, they definitely are. Just a minimum amount of levels in a farm are going to make their heroes pretty darn scary. As for Wheel Wreck, what the plan is later on still is pretty vague. Like, I don't know, when you open up a draft with an Omni Knight first pick, I'm not exactly sure what the plan is for them, and I suppose that works into their favor. Shadow Fiend should be getting farm, whether that's safe lane or mid is yet to be seen. Presumably mid versus the Death Prophet should be able to function decently well there. But yeah, I have no idea what's in store for us.
If you want to play this really aggressively, you put the Jakiro towards the mid lane, you get Shadow Fiend, core mounts a farm, and then you grab something, like a Shadow Blade or something like that, which is, probably the most aggressive way you could play this set of heroes. The Shadow Fiend right now seems like the odd hero out, but it's only because they have two heroes that go so well together in the Omni Knight and Jakiro for playing aggressively early. Shadow Fiend, though he can play aggressively early, is typically regarded as a little bit more of a mid to late game hero. His raises are good, but you really want something more out of your picks than just a couple of nukes.
Although it's not the traditional way to play Shadow Fiend, if they really want to go for an aggressive build, I'm quite partial to like Mech Shadow Fiend or even Armlet if you're so inclined. I think Mech is probably the better way to play it if you're going in for just an all-in early game Shadow Fiend. The extra armor is really nice for you as well as that burst heal, and you do have the mana to sustain it, especially if you get something to sustain your raises like a bottle in between goes. Either way, they're also taking quite a bit of their reserve time. Looks like the disconnects are isolated on the Houses Down, mostly Ned. It's going to be a Centaur for them. Not a very surprising hero, but it looks like this is going to bump down Omni Knight into a support role. Or maybe it's safe lane farming Centaur, offlane Omni Knight, and Shadow Fiend mid, or any combination of those. At least one of this Jakiro and Omni Knight's going to be playing support.
Yeah, I still think that probably support Jakiro is better than Omni Knight support. There's not much of a sample size to work with, but Centaur Warrunner as the pick going to, just let a little bit more safety happen for the rest of Wheel Wreck. It'll also allow them to play aggressively with Stampede. Between Stampede, Guardian Angel, Repel, and Purification, things are not going to die for Wheel Wreck. However, the House is down, they're going to pick up an Invoker, so they are going to have a little bit more CC there. If they catch someone with a Cold Snap, they're pretty much dead, unless, Purification Repel comes through. This is a lot of burst damage the House is down are working with, and it's going to be up to the Omni Knight to get in those repels, else his allies are just going to die.
Yeah, and in that sense, positioning is going to be really key for Omni Knight. I'd expect, even a Blink Dagger early on for Omni, maybe after Arcane Boots, but maybe just, Tranquil Boots Soul Ring into Blink. Something along those lines, just so you can make sure he's positioned well to get the repels off onto whoever's getting gone on by the Ogre Magi Skywrath Invoker combination, or just the Ogre Magi and Skywrath with a Sunstrike dropping on top of them as well. Last band, Timbersaw from Wheel Wreck. My goodness, Wheel Wreck. Under most circumstances I wouldn't suggest it, but Timursa is really darn good up against Huskar. It's gonna be a Meepo. Okay, screw logic. I love Wheelwreck's lineup, not because I think it's good, but because it's swaggerific.
Oh man, it doesn't get much better than this, except if they actually did pick up that Huskar. Synergies with the Meepo right now for Wheelwreck are kind of limited. I mean, Stampede, Purification, Guardian Angel are all very nice. The House is down, have Crypt Swarm, they have Invoker. Both Death Prophet and Invoker are very good against people. Yes, we get to see Phoenix. I have not seen Phoenix yet from a casting seat. I'm so excited for this game. Unfortunately, there's only going to be one of them.
Absolutely. Well, Phoenix, he does absolutely poop on Meepo, but the other heroes from the House is down can find difficulty actually bursting him down unless you do get a couple of lucky multicasts, or you can isolate a single Meepo with Exorcism. Because the Mystic Flare and the Sunstrike damage is split between all of the Meepo clones, for now THD, they have... Oh my... Ned's abandoned. We have to remake. There's no alternative.
Did he abandon?
Wait, hopefully that's a visual bug. Okay, looks like it's a visual bug. Either way, I'm
still
ready.
here.
He's still here.
And
Okay,
he has
we're good.
items, but he's not getting gold. Shit.
Oh yeah, he's not getting gold. Oh dear. Okay, whatever.
Oh god.
I don't want to be the first one to leave.
Yeah, never. You never want to be the first one to leave, Ned. I'll leave just
I'm
to.
gone.
Okay, yeah, the lobby's back up.
Oh dear. Let me see if I can remember the password off the top of my head. Hey! I'm amazing.
So good. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Well, thanks for sticking through with us with many a pause and delays in this game, but it's sure to be a pretty fun one. I don't know, Meepo is just such a hard hero to evaluate, especially in professional games. He's very prone to snowballing, and the lineup that Wheelwreck have made for themselves can pretty comfortably take it late up against THD, even though they have strong heroes in the late game of their own right. Like, Invoker and Death Prophet are definitely pretty scary. The spell pushing power and just raw damage from SF and Meepo is going to be pretty darn ridiculous, especially when you have the backup coming out from Guardian Angel, from Omni Knight, as well as the Repel, so... Even though they can play really aggressive early on, if that doesn't work out for them, Wheelwreck, they could probably just sit and defend high ground indefinitely.
Yeah, and as far as late game is concerned, for the House is down, Invoker really good, Death Prophet really good, but not quite that great against what Wheelwreck are working with. And late game Phoenix, don't really have an exact read on how good that hero is in the grand scheme of things, but I'm inclined to think, though Phoenix does very well in his AoE against Meepo, doesn't he just get torn to shreds once the divided we stand goes into the egg?
Before Meepo is fire spirited. And even when Meepo is fire spirited, he can still kill the egg. Like, you have to be so careful with your positioning. If Meepo hasn't jumped in yet, you can just like poof all of your Meepos, blink in on top of the egg, and destroy it. So
yeah, so potentially rough times for the Phoenix. I don't exactly know if you can repel off the
I think you
spirit
can.
slow.
Phoenix.
The attack speed slow?
I'm 80% sure that you can. I haven't seen Omni Knight versus Phoenix in a pro game, or in a pub, for that matter.
You don't even pay attention when it's in a pub.
Yeah, like...
if it happens, it happens. You're like, oh, that's convenience, or whatever.
Yeah, like I haven't seen anything ridiculous. I would imagine it is purgeable. Especially with Repel. That's kind of a little bit of a harder purge.
Right, so all you need is to get rid of one of those, and well, then Phoenix is going to be beaten down very, very quickly. The House is down. I mean, they have a decent amount of AoE to deal with Meepo. They have a lot of single target damage as well. It's really going to come down to how Wheelwreck are going to lane this, I think, because last game, Fan of Soyeon took the Meepo, and it's been a while since I've seen Wheelwreck. I'm fairly sure support player, Fan of Soyeon.
I would think so. Okay, so somebody's complaining about no sound in stream. You're obviously not going to be able to hear this, but I just turned it on, much to the dismay of everybody that's actually watching the stream, because you'll hear my voice twice, echoed from 2 minutes in the past. But either way, looks like it's just fine, so tell everybody to restart their stream if things aren't working. Looks like it's A-okay. That said, I suppose, did we even introduce the players?
No. I think it's time to do that.
I think it is.
All right,
okay.
So,
well,
I'll take Wheelwreck. We got Fan of Soyeon on the Meepo, currently with 1 Sentry Ward and 300 gold heading down towards bottom lane. Sleazel's going to be joining him. as the Centaur. Mid lane's going to be Relic on the Shadow Fiend, with Derp Derp supporting as the Jakiro. Top lane, it is going to be that core Omni Knight played by I'm a Sheep.
And on the dire side, we're going to have THD with Ned handling the Ogre Magi. Invoker played by Dynasty Tail. Skarath Mage is going to be played by Vestius, and Death Prophet mid by Yuka. Offlane Phoenix is going to be handled by Zadasas. I have no idea how to say your name, but he's going to be playing on the Phoenix either way.
He just like mashed his fingers across the left side of the keyboard and then was satisfied with that, I suppose. As far as the Phoenix's status in this lane, only up against a Centaur and a Meepo. There is not much of a chance here for Wheelwreck. I mean, these heroes are, first of all, very awkward in the lane, and second of all, they need hard lockdown if they're going to be dealing with Icarus Dive. And though they have net, that doesn't actually do anything to the Icarus Dive. Stomp is not going to land, so the odds of them killing off Phoenix are extremely low. The odds of them pressuring Phoenix back is extremely low. So I expect the Phoenix to get an absolute free time in this bottom lane.
Huh, what server is this? I don't know, something's messed up. Either way, we're not remaking, screw that, we're going to actually play this game. Yeah, Fan of Swain's loadout is actually really peculiar on this Meepo, with the sentries potentially expecting the Phoenix to block the camp or deny him some vision out in this bottom lane. The pole camp hasn't been blocked, and it looks like Fan of Swain is just going to use that in order to get his level 3 ASAP, which is really where he can start abusing jungle as a Meepo, and it looks like he's more or less going to be jungling just straight up. The Phoenix actually dropping very low. Forced Icarus Dive away from the center. Honestly, that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, he just got a little bit too close, ended up getting hoof stomped after getting into a fist fight with the Centaur, and Phoenix, he's 0 base armor, though he does have Ring of Protection, so does the Centaur. So you're not going to win any fist fights anytime soon as the Phoenix. It is going to be a lot easier now that he's level 2, so he actually has a way of combating up against the Centaur, so I think that's just a little bit of an exception there. It should be, for the most part, just smooth sailing for the Phoenix, although Jakiro is now here, and, well, apparently Liquid Fire works against Phoenix. Who knew? It's going to help Wheelwreck, put a little bit more pressure towards this Phoenix. But again, I don't expect it to be that much. They're going to try to go for him once more. And Icarus Dive going to keep him safe. But Icarus Dive has a very long cooldown.
Yeah, and it also does eat through a little bit of your consumables. He's going to be pretty much out of tangos very soon. And he's going to be forced to play a little bit more defensively. It looks like Wheel are going to be able to get a decent amount out of this bottom lane. In mid, Skarath Mage has pumped quite a bit of damage into Relic, but as far as Shadow Fiend starts are concerned, this is probably one of the better ones I've seen. 9 and 4 at less than 2 minutes in is pretty much ideal, and the Death Prophet alone can't really stop him farming anymore.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Derp Derp was in the middle lane just for a little bit. Threw out a couple of waves with Liquid Fire, kept Yuga back, that allowed Relic to get the first couple of CS. And really the first, 3 or 4 souls are the hardest ones to get. If you do actually manage to pick them up as a Shadow Fiend, then the rest of your laning phase, assuming you don't die, is going to just be so much easier. So just that small move from the Wheel team, and Jakiro is going to not win the lane for Relic, but at least ensure that he's not going to get absolutely crushed by Yuka. So a nice little move by the Jakiro, and now he's going to be, doing regular support things down bottom, helping to zone out Phoenix.
Yeah. This is a pretty peculiar way to lane the Meepo for Fan of Swain. He's made himself quite a stack over at the large camp, 3 stacks up there, and he is going to make 1 more. Once you have level 3, you can feasibly farm it, although it's quite difficult, I must say, for Meepo. Until you get like maxed out poof is when you really can do it at like level 7, level 5 at the very least.
And next pull, it's going to miss because one stupid hill troll got stuck on a tree. So Fantasonian not going to stack that one. He's also holding on to quite a bit of gold. I don't know what he's going to be going for, but I assume it's going to be something along the lines of Bottle. It just seems to make sense because it seems like he's going to be jungling a whole lot, and if he was going for anything else, he would have gotten it already. So Meepo's build certainly going to be very peculiar, but this is going to be pretty much the full support Meepo. And the way this works is that you just pull and you hope for the best, and you will not do too much for the team except for pulling. But if you do get your levels up without being pressured at all from the houses down, it looks like that is going to be the case, then you're going to be able to run a train later on.
Yeah, it pretty much turns into the same old Meepo. Mia's going to look for 1 more stacking. He doesn't have that level 3 as of yet. You can play support Meepo pretty aggressively to look for ganks. Once you have the two Meepos, pretty much all of the lanes, but honestly, I don't think he needs to do that. Top lane, Omni Knight's getting levels at the very least. Mid lane, the Shadow Fiend's doing just fine. Phantom Soin's probably going to be forced all the way back to base. And now a little bit of man fight coming up from Phoenix. He's going to get tagged by that Ice Path, and now the double edge comes through. That's going to be first blood for Sleazel. Derp drops low. Doesn't matter. That's going to be an Icarus dive beautifully blocked.
So you probably don't want to Icarus dive towards the Centaur. In the meantime, top lane, Omni Knight is going to get dove. We talked a lot about the Wheel Wreck side. We kind of skimmed over the top lane for the House Down, well, mainly because it is so bland, but it is going to be a Wex Invoker for this game. The House is Down, they have a lot of burst damage even without going for Wex. They don't really have that much setup for a Sunstrike, and up against what we'll have, I actually think this Wex decision is a pretty darn good one. Now, they're going to try to go for Amisheep again. He does have a Purification, but he can't even get it out. It does take quite a long time to cast that skill, and that's going to be another kill in the top lane for the House is Down.
Yeah. For now, I think it's pretty even between these two offlaners, both of them level 4, Phoenix giving up the first blood, and Omni Knight dying twice. So I don't think it's like the end of the world, and Centaur's out CSing the Invoker only slightly. After that early start for the Shadow Fiend, however, he's absolutely running this middle lane. 36 and 12 compared to 15 and 1. Now 18 and 1 on the DP. It's another death for the Phoenix down in bottom. I didn't expect him to kill him a secondary time, but they're going to tie up the kill score 2-2. Both of these offlaners pretty much in the same boat.
Yeah, and this is not a boat that anyone wants to be in. It is rapidly sinking, if not already sunk. Phoenix, though, does have the Icarus dive. I guess just couldn't get it out. Caught with an Ice Path a little bit too close. Phoenix is not a fast hero. He has like 280, 290, something like that base movement speed. He's going to try to go for Sleazel, knowing that the Centaur doesn't have any mana, but the Phoenix has to be playing this so very carefully. He's going to drop the Centaur pretty low, but takes a lot of damage from Derp. And they're going to get into a man fight now. This is not a man fight Phoenix could win, because here comes Sleazel with a double edge. You better run, Phoenix. You better juke. You better pray. He's going to run around the trees, and Centaur's going to try to cut him off. Here comes the Scarith Mage with an Arcane Bolt. One more right click. Sleazel's going to drop to 6 HP and will go down. They're going to try to go for this Phoenix. Needs a couple more right clicks. Derp will fall short, I think. Liquid Fire might kill the Phoenix. I don't know how fire kills a Phoenix, but it worked. Derp is going to give his life for it, but they will get the kill. But here comes the rest of Wheel. I don't know what Phantom Soin is doing here with no HP, but here comes Relic. That's the real scary hero. Landing 2 raises onto Ned. Now Ned's going to try to TP out. There is a level 1 Net, and Phantom Soin will cancel that TP. Now onto Vestius. This is a 1 base armor hero versus someone who's doing 120 a pop with 1 raise to finish him off. Scarith Mage is going to fall as well. It's a bloodbath down towards bottom, but overall it should be slightly in favor of Wheel.
Yeah, it was actually well played at Phantom Soin. The one Meepo that was really low is pretty much just there to tether the other one into the fight. Yeah, just a lot of rotations down towards that bottom lane. They are going to go the Stampede onto the poor Invoker, and they'll be able to bring it down. Purification, double edge, as well as Hip Stomp.
And it's so hard to deal with that as Invoker. You either get the Tornado out just in time, or you die. Like, there are no other alternatives there. Once the Hoof Stomp lands, you're pretty much dead. And Centaur is going to be very well farmed in this game. 1900 gold, 7 minutes into the game only. Bottom lane, there's a sun burning. I guess it was trying to kill the Jakiro, but it was actually not that close. He's going to Icarus dive forward, throw a couple of Fire Spirits. Derp with the Jukes is going to throw an Ice Path, which will slow down the Phoenix, and actually Ned gets fogged, so he can't get the Ignite up. But here comes Vestius. One more tap. There it is, going to kill off the Jakiro. Tornado in the meantime, going to cut off Sleazel, although not hit. They are going to run to Phantom Soin. EMP is going to land. Meepo will be almost completely out of mana, if not completely out, and he will go down to the Invoker. Here comes Sleazel, but he doesn't have a Stampede, and the neutrals are actually zoning out Relic, so he can't join the fight either. It's a 2 kill for the House is Down. It looks like that should be it, and now the House is Down know that there's a stack here. They don't have that many great tools to deal with it, although here comes Yuka. They will be able to steal the stack if Relic can't defend it. It looks like he'll be cold snapped up. He can't get anything out. He's going to be completely chain stunned, and he will be going down. All 4 of the House is Down heroes are here, and it looks like, well, they still want to fight this one. They're going to get a nice stomp onto the Phoenix. Double Edge, not quite going to kill him off, but they will bring the Phoenix down in the end. Sleazel taking a lot of damage, though, will be the trade. Phantom Soin, in the meantime, is going to try to fight with Ned, but that's not really a fight that Meepo can take right now. He's instead going to change his mind and go for Vestius, it seems, but in the meantime, the stack is already dead. Vestius might be giving his life for this, but only if Derp can land one more skill, or if Phantom Soin can slow him down with a little bit more. It looks like Vestius will die, but the House is Down clear out the entire stack. I think that's worth it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Shadow Fiend got like a couple of those creeps, but not any significant amount. Still at the top of the net worth chart, the Shadow Fiend is going for a mechanism this game. As I already said, I quite like it, and if this is going to maintain the pace of the game and just be an absolute slugfest, I think it's a good choice. But either way, yeah, that last fight, it does feel like THD got more momentum out of that. Although, throughout the meantime, nobody was really farming. The Death Prophet does pick up quite a bit of CS, however. She is going to be farming up a little bit of a stack of her own as well.
So the Omni Knight, really the only hero that didn't have any part of that. And really in those type of early engagements, you want your Omni Knight to be right up in there to get the repel, to get the Guardian Angel off. And Purification, level 4, 9 minutes into the game, is going to be one of the deadliest tools in the game. Not only just doing damage, but also 360 HP is, half of everyone's HP pool for the Radiant side. So Omni Knight, I guess, just decided not to go in there. I feel like if he was there, it could have been just so much better for Wheel, but now they're going to lose the Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, he silenced up Cryptstorm down, Arcane Bolt, Stampede even used, but not going to be enough to save his life. He had 7 Magic Wand charges. If he popped those, maybe, just maybe, the Stampede's enough to buy him enough time to bottle up. But either way, it's going to be pretty clean pickoff going the way of THD. They find the Omni Knight, he's Soul Ringing up, does have a Purification, he's going to instead go for the Repel. He has a Salve juking around the trees, they don't get the damage off, looking for the TP out, he's going to succeed as they have no way to cancel out. Well played by the Omni Knight.
Right, so Sheep doesn't necessarily die solo to the Invoker, but still, you don't want to be forced out like that. In the meantime, we have a skirmish over towards mid. At least it's brewing up. Yuka's going to unleash a very weak exorcism on the tower, but they're going to go for Derp Derp with the Mystic Flare. Derp Derp is going to go down in a hurry. Phanasoyan's going to poof in, do some serious damage to Vestius, but not enough to kill him off. Phanasoyan will be blasted down, but Sleazel will take 1. Looking to make it 2. The Phoenix is going to try to Supernova, but this egg is going to be cracked. Now Ned is going to be TPing out. It's going to be a 2 for 2 towards the mid lane. Lots of supports dying, and, well, Phoenix, I guess, is a core, so he does go down as well. Maybe a slight win for Wheelwreck, but I would say it's more or less a wash.
Yeah, especially with Invoker getting the tier 1 tower up top, I think it's pretty much marginal any advantage drawn in that fight either way. Power turrets are going to be a choice of Meepo. Phanasoyan with this is going to be able to do quite a bit and tank a little bit more inside the fights, but honestly Meepo at this point in the game isn't very scary. His damage is very limited with just 2 of the Meepo clones and isn't going to have a Blink or Aghanim for quite a long time at his current farming rate, since he has been laned as pretty much purely a support.
And he also doesn't have any stacks to work with. If he had like 4 or 5 stacks just sitting there, then, well, maybe not going to matter that much, because why farm neutrals when you could farm heroes? They're going to use the shiny new Blink Dagger on the Centaur that will snag the Ogre Magi kill. Phanasoyan doesn't have any huge amount of gold to work with in that regard, but hell, if he's going to be participating in all of these fights, and at the same time getting a little bit of farm here or there, maybe sliding down to the bottom lane, then overall for Wheelwreck, it's not going to be too bad. And with the level 3 Liquid Fire, it looks like they'll translate that Ogre kill into a tower kill as well. Here comes the Invoker, is going to throw a Tornado, which is going to hit perfectly no one. The MP is going to hit no one as well. Ned's going to teleport in. Very lucky that Phanasoyan did decide not to throw out that net. And it's going to be a clean tower destruction. In the meantime, bottom lane, they're going to try to mess with the Phoenix, but the tower's not taking that much damage. So far, 1 for 1 tower and 11 for 11 kills. Overall, pretty even outside of the farm, which is also pretty even. So the graphs are, right at 0.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. For Omni Knight, he does have Arcanes as well as Soul Ring. Quite a lot of levels up in this Omni Knight as well. Level 8. I believe that's tied with Phanasoyan, unless he's picked up 1 more in the meantime. Looks like that's not the case. They have quite a lot of tools to look for pushes, but in the meantime, it's THD to take the aggressive. They'll go for the tier 1 tower in mid. They're going to glyph this one up, and now Derp Derp going to eat the full brunt of an EMP as well as a Cold Snap. They're going to be Hoof Stomp, Double Edge, turning onto Dynasty Tail to be able to bring him down. A Mystic Flare into Phanasoyan doesn't do enough damage to split between 2 Meepos, but an Arcane Bolt, Cryptstorm will. Stampeding forward, the Rays not going to come out from the Shadow Fiend, or not connected at the very least. Icarus dive aggressively in. He's going to try to turn into his egg, and the Supernova looks like it is going to succeed, being hit by the tower, not doing any damage to a Relic, dropping low. 1 multicast coming out from the Ignite. Should be enough to kill him off, tries to get off the ultimate, not going to happen. It's now diving behind tower. The Phoenix does also drop a couple of Fire Spirits, and they'll get a tier 1 tower off of it as well. Omni Knight wasn't involved in any of that either. Honestly, I think Sheep should be looking to group up with his team a lot more. 0, 2, and 1 hasn't really been active.
He does know that he has a team, right? Because again, those are the type of fights that you kind of pick Omni Knight for. Those small skirmishes, those running guns where you have Purification, constantly swinging things. They could have obliterated the Invoker a lot easier. They could have killed so many other people if they landed a Purification, would have held everyone's life with the Guardian Angel. Sheep needs to be joining these fights. Even though taking a tier 1 tower is very nice, taking a massive team fight and keeping those towers available for later is just as good, if not better. So I'm actually very surprised that Sheep is not joining these fights, and he's not even translating this farm into anything huge either. Like, this is just mana for him, which, as nice as it is to have mana is only good if you're actually doing things with it. And top lane, well, Ogre Magi gets jumped. Blink from the Centaur, or I don't even think he used Blink, he would just walk around the corner, caught the Centaur farming, easy kill.
Yeah, especially when your Shadow Fiend does go for a mechanism, which is an item that I like, but you kind of do have to look for these aggressive skirmishes early on. Tier 1 tower up top looks like it's going to be the target for Wheel, but in the meantime, Invoker has found himself the farm for an Orchid on top of his phase boots, and this build coming up from Invoker with the Ghost Walk, he can do exactly this, just walk around inside the Ghost Walk at very fast speeds. Once it's maxed out, it's almost haste, whenever you can cast that, and you can do so very easily. Wheel, they'll get this tier 1 tower for free, but in the meantime, Meepo looks like he's going to get stalked by the enemy side.
Well, he's going to be spotted by an observer first. If he keeps on walking, then he'll be just fine, but the rest of the Wheel team, they're up towards top, and they already took down one tower. They have now maxed out Liquid Fire, and a good amount of damage coming out from the Shadow Fiend, though. He doesn't actually have full up on souls, which is a little bit weird there. Regardless, this tower is going to take a beating, and the response from the House Down is going to be going for Soya, and he's going to get Orchided up, and I don't think that's going to outright kill him. Now they're going to try to stampede, but this Tornado will crater the Meepo. He's down, Invoker's going to get that one. Top lane. Okay, well, we have a little bit of suspense here. This time, Wheelwreck are guaranteed an Omnight in this fight.
Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to move the camera down towards bottom since nobody wants to hear that terrible TP sound. I suppose we can talk about their positioning and what all is happening inside this fight to start things off. Repel has been dropped onto the Shadow Fiend, but that's about to wear off. Tier 2 towers, Glyph, they're TPing in with the Skarath Mage here. Death Prophet isn't TPing yet, and Dynasty Tail, although he does have one, hasn't started it. We'll just have to see how this goes down.
So everyone on the House is Down can be up here. It's going to take them a little while. I think the play right now is going to be try to get Sleazel right on top of that Phoenix. Unfortunately, he used Stampede, like he just used it in order to try to save that Meepo, so they would have loved to have it right now. Just bum rush the Phoenix, try to force him to Icarus dive out. So the Centaur's ability to get in is going to be rather hampered. They will probably just wait this out a little bit and then jump onto the Skarath Mage when he teleports in. So I expect the Phoenix not to be able to fully shove all these heroes back, and the Skarath Mage is going to be teleporting in, and he will be either initiated upon or that will force everyone from the Radiant side to back off. Either way, I do like the position that Wheelwreck are in right now, just because it will take the House Down quite a long time to mobilize all the heroes up towards top. Like, you teleport one more person in mid onto the top tier 2, that'll take 4 seconds. You could teleport one person over in the tier 3, but by the time everyone gets there, Wheelwreck will have so much time to reposition and set up the fight.
Yeah. Well, for now we're just waiting for Venom Swing to actually get back into the game, so still yet to be seen when that's going to happen, and honestly we don't know why he's gone. The last thing said in all chat was same by Fan of Swain himself.
So maybe we are having a couple of ping issues, which is a little bit unfortunate. But, you know, this is actually a rather aggressive play coming out from Wheelwreck. With the Shadow Fiend, you can do this, especially with a mech advantage. I don't believe House of Down have a mech, nor are they anywhere close to a mech. I would imagine Phoenix is going to get it, although it might just be ignored for him. The House is Down, they pretty much have everything that they could possibly want to fight, except for the Tornado EMP, so maybe they're just going to sack this tower.
It kind of feels like it, to be honest. Like, the Death Prophet Invoker, I don't think they're going to get here fast enough. The Glyph is halfway through, and just 1 or 2 Liquid Fire is all that they really need to take this tower, even without the Meepo. Pretty much their scariest heroes at this point are up all on top.
Alright, so TP still grinding away. Doesn't look like anything else is going on necessarily. Yuka does have an option down here to push that one out. If they teleport everyone else up here, the House is Down, they could just split push with his Death Prophet, and then, you know, try to just race the tier 2s. I actually think that probably will be better, because it doesn't look like they're going to be able to defend this top lane, so you might as well try to go for something. Unfortunately, it'll just be the Death Prophet, and the creep wave isn't quite there, so maybe this is a no-win situation for the House is Down, or maybe this is a no-win situation for us.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it. Phoenix is now disconnected, and still not a word from either side. What's actually going on? Hopefully it's just a quick reconnect from Phoenix, and hopefully Fan of Soyan is going to get back in this, but yeah, not a whole lot left to talk about, I suppose.
Yeah, so we already went through all the banter. That was the remake stuff.
Yeah,
literally nothing else to be said.
Yeah, we're actually through banter, and we're through what's actually going on in this game.
All right, well, we can look at cosmetics. I think it's about that time, because, of course, we have one person in, but it's not quite. Oh, well, wait. No, hold on, because we're good now, it seems. There's actually some pretty shitty cosmetics in this game. None of them really look great.
Yeah,
not too fancy, but top lane, okay, here we go. Phoenix, what's the play? Is he going to go in? He's going to get Ice Path Stomps initiated upon. He has to get that Supernova off, and he will, but Guardian Angel is there, and they will just be able to work down the egg. That's going to be 1 kill. Now Yuka teleported straight into the middle of the fight, will pop the drums, Yule Scepter Moonspeed, will be able to escape, but the Exorcism is going to be wasted. The rest of House is down, coming out from the south. It's going to be Dynasty Tail to be, first of all, zoned out. Into the Ghost Walk he goes, and he will try to run, but Wheelwreck, they already got the tower. They're going to try to disengage without losing anyone else. That's going to be very difficult because Amasheep is now going to get silenced once. He can get silenced again or just blown up. That's good too. Sleazel's going to jump right onto the Invoker. We'll get Mystic Flare in response, so that's going to be a 1-for-1 there. But Relic's still at full HP, doing quite a bit of damage to Yuka, not enough to kill him off. They're completely surrounded right now, the Wheelwreck heroes. They're going to try to fight to the death, but Ned, still full health. He's going to force Relic TP out of here. The damage isn't going to be enough to kill off the Shadow Fiend, though Derp, I don't think he's going to be as lucky. It's going to be close. He will go down. Wheelwreck, they take 2 kills, they lose 3, but they also get the tower. For a 4v5 fight, that actually wasn't too terrible.
Yeah, especially considering Shadow Fiend lived, so I think that's fine for them, although not exactly sure. Centaur has Blink, he's working towards this Force Staff, but honestly, Centaur just needs the Blink Dagger. If he has that, he's pretty much golden for this point in the game. Omni Knight is working for Force Staff of him, or for himself, but honestly, as long as he's present in the fight, I'm not sure that extra mobility is going to be super game-changing, although, don't get me wrong, Force Staff's a wonderful item to have.
Yeah, I mean, we could see the difference there with just having an Omni Knight and not having Omni Knight. The Guardian Angel was used rather early. I don't actually think it did much of anything. But still, I mean, at the very least, it messed with the House's Down's head, and later down the line, Guardian Angel will be doing a lot more. Dynasty Tail is going to run straight into 2 heroes, will break his invisibility. Yeah, he's got to be really careful with that. Fortunately, Thanasoyan is not going to be rushing a Blink Dagger. It's going to be an Aghanim Scepter for this Meepo, though Sleazel is in the area now, and Invoker does not know about this. Actually, everyone's in the area for Wheelwreck. Never mind. Invoker, if you go here, you're just dead. Looks like Yuka's split push towards top will force everyone away from this area, but either way, Wheelwreck doing pretty well for themselves, whereas for the Houses Down, I mean, they're not doing too terribly either, but I feel like they're just not doing well enough.
Yeah, I kind of get that same vibe. Death Prophet, after a pretty bad start in the laning phase, has really started to shine. But Yuka, Phase Drum, Yule Scepter, although these are really good items to have, they won't help you here, although they might. Let's see if she gets Yules off in time. Not a chance. With the Omni Knight dropping that Purification on top of the Hoof Stomp Double Edge, the burst damage is immense.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about that. Even if you do get the Yule Scepter off, you're just dead anyway. Derp is going to be the trade. I don't know what he was doing, just wandering through where he saw a couple of heroes in the mid lane. Like, that's not a good idea. He's going to get a little bit of reinforcements here as Centaur is going to blink very aggressively onto Dynasty Hill. Ghost Walk is already up, though, so killing off the Invoker is not going to happen, even with the dust. Mystic Flare now onto Sleazel is going to drop him pretty low, but Purification will keep him at full. Phoenix, no, what are you doing? That is not where you want to be with that Sun. He will actually get it off, and maybe he's going to escape. He has another Icarus dive, will dodge a Centaur initiation, and Centaur now is going to be ignited. The laser beam as well, not going to kill him off, though. Everyone else is dying in the meantime. Relic is going to town from the high ground. Das is going to be chased down by the Meepo. Ogre's going to be cleaned up by the Shadow Fiend. That's going to be 5 heroes down for Wheelwreck, and they don't lose anyone. Centaur barely surviving, but that's the difference between having an Omni Knight in the fight and not having an Omni Knight in the fight. Well,
even though Fantasoin didn't rush the Blink Dagger, he actually purchased it up, but didn't have it for that last fight, which is pretty peculiar, but it still goes very well for them. 4 for nothing. They're going to Blink Hoof Stomp. They find the Death Prophet behind the tower. Now the Nets, they're probably just going to be able to poof her down when the Yule Scepter wears off, and there you go. Poofs are going to secure the end of her life. Stampede was used, also disengage. It's going to be a tier 2 tower going the way of Wheel, and this is just looking so good. If you compare who has farm and who doesn't, it's pretty much 2 heroes on THD and 4 heroes on Wheel that have actually been able to get their core items up. There's going to be a Tornado EMP onto Relic, but he hardly has any mana to begin with, so it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, the Invoker needs to start all fights with a Tornado EMP. If he drains the Omni Knight out of half of his mana pool, if he gets rid of a lot of the Shadow Fiend's mana, like all these small things could swing the fight so hard into the direction of the Houses Down. But if they start the fight just by getting initiated upon, if the first skill that the Invoker uses is going to be Ghost Walk out of necessity, then there is probably not going to be any winning those fights. I mean, that was even with a Supernova landing, or at least, you know, going off. The Phoenix didn't die in that egg form. So as far as that's concerned, like, the follow-up was as good as it could have been, but still the fight was just a massacre in favor of Wheelwreck. So this Invoker needs to be starting these fights, and he doesn't have any sort of tool to help him with the exception of Ghost Walk. And without a Force Staff, Blink Dagger, or something like that, I fear that he won't be able to get a good 2-3 man EMP off, and that's what they need.
Yeah. For Wheel, I'm gonna go ahead and touch back on the mechanism for Shadow Fiend a little bit. I suppose you can kind of think of it like a Midas, although it works in the opposite way. It lets you push in those towers aggressively. In this game, it's worked wonders for Relic. Just having that mechanism advantage. They're going to drop dust onto the Invoker, blink forward, looking for the nets, they'll find it. Poofs in for Fansoin, a double edge from the center. It's going to be the end of Invoker's life. He's trying to look for, like, some assassinations onto the enemy heroes, which is something that you can do with the Ghost Walk, as well as Wex build for the Invoker, but it's just not happening with the amount of farm that we'll have, and they're grouped up as 5 most of the time.
And this is the 5-man crew crashing down the mid lane. Without the Invoker to initiate, it's got to be someone like the Phoenix to do it. Else they just straight up lose their tower. The pushing power from Wheelwreck isn't the fastest. They have Liquid Fire, so it's fairly safe, but they will be taking chip damage all the while. Sleazel, he's just waiting for an angle, though. As soon as he finds someone, anyone, it's going to be a Blink Hoof Stomp, and it's probably not going to be an outright kill, but it will be damn close. Daz is doing his best to cut the creep wave. There's the initiation onto Ned. The double Hoof Stomp, and it will be beat down from Meepo. That's going to be the Ogre Magi's down. Daz is going to jump right into the middle of everything. Will panic Phoenix, or panic Supernova, rather. It will be the death of the Meepo amongst all of this, but Relic still at full HP with the BKB now up. Phoenix is forced to buy back. Guardian Angel's up once again, will do literally nothing. But Sleazel still looking for those initiation openings. Going to get silenced for all his troubles. Mech up now. Going to keep Sleazel alive as Derp lands a pretty nice Macropyre Ice Path, doing quite a bit of damage to Vestius. The heroes and House down are clumping a little bit too much. Now Relic's at full HP, and he's gonna go to town on everyone. Yuka is going to barely survive at 10 HP, but Vestius, Dynasty Tail, I don't think you're going to be as lucky. 4-stack Hoof Stomp going to kill off Scarith Mage. Now the Ice Path clipping Dynasty Tail. He lands an EMP, but once again, Relic doesn't have much mana to begin with. That's a buyback and a couple more kills in favor of Wheelwreck. And they've only lost one so far, and their Omni Knight's mana pool is still pretty deep. They can keep on going.
Yeah, he drops his Arcane Boots, gets Soul Ring as they jump on a Yuka. They're going to be able to Hoof Stomp, double edge the Death Prophet down. And that's DP down for 53 seconds. Even if she was up, the Exorcism was already used. Icarus died from the Phoenix. Very ballsy move by him. He's not going to be able to do much of anything. He's going to Sun Rain. That's probably the safer choice. They'll Fire Blast up Derp, but he's going to be healed up with the Purification. Now with the Repel onto Relic, they can just keep on chipping down these towers. Yeah, chipping down these towers. The melee barracks is dropping incredibly low. They'll put a Liquid Fire into that one, and the range barracks should fall soon afterwards.
There are 4 heroes now up for the houses down, so they can make a defense, although it will be too late even if it does come through. Tornado is only going to catch sheep. Stampede is there, however, will not affect the Omni Knight. It doesn't even matter. The houses down lose their Raxes as they just kept on losing fight time and time again. Dynasty Tail, if he did not die just going deep into the enemy jungle like that, then I'm pretty sure this whole situation could have been avoided for the houses down, but because he decided to do that, suddenly there are racks down 22 minutes in the game. They're facing a massive disadvantage at this point.
Yeah, they really are. Now with Aghanim, Scepter on Meepo, he's hard enough to deal with as is, and with the double damage rune in the bottle, this is the scariest Meepo you're ever going to see, because if you pop the double damage rune and your other Meepos are close to you, they all get the double damage effect. That's effectively an extra 360 damage that he can pop on demand in the next 2 minutes.
Seems like a pretty balanced item. Bottle sometimes is all you need to win a game when you have a double damage rune. And it's not even at that point where they're looking for double damage runes out of desperation. It's just going to be the cherry on the cake. Like, he'll have that one, but as far as bigger, high-priced items, you got a Desolator completed on Relic, who is already just hitting like an absolute freaking truck. Derp might get assassinated right now. Finally, the Invoker gets what he wants, but I'm a Sheep, closing in fast, not in time to save the Jakiro. Orchid's going to pop him. Centaur was nowhere near, so they're going to lose Jakiro. Not a huge deal there. Thanasoyan has the Aghanim's Blink Dagger. There is an Assault Cuirass on the way for Sleazel, and I'm a Sheep is going to start building up his Aghanim Scepter. This is a lot of items for Wheelwreck. I mean, they're not all necessarily completed, but they're getting there. And even these intermediate items are enough, and now they're going to go for Ned, and with a couple poofs, Ned is just dead.
Oh yeah, that's it. Tries for a TP out, but that's not going to happen in a million years. You already have like another 3 nets to throw out. Yeah, poor Ogre in the end of that. And this is the Power Fan Swipe. Now he has level 17. All of his Meepos are online. This is pretty much Meepo's peak, and after his pretty sketchy start, he's managed to get there a really good timing, currently second in the net worth, and the items just aren't being paralleled by THD. Their Death Prophet working desperately towards the BKB. Her exorcisms haven't really been able to do that much damage. Double damage room pop by the Meepo is going to be used to get the Roshan down in bottom. The Yule Scepter up to Jakiro, but with the ultimate coming after the Centaur, they need to book a TP attempt from the Phoenix. Is going to be cancelled by an Ice Path as they pursue down the Invoker. Slowed down by the Ghostwalk. It's a little bit harder for them to catch it, but now repelled up. So he's just going to be able to pursue, and Phantom Soin has a Blink Dagger cooling down. Looking for the Nets, going to connect at long range. The Tornado is also going to land onto a couple of heroes, but not enough, as Dynasty Tail is going to be ripped apart. That damage is immense.
Derp is still dueling against the Phoenix. Caught him with the Macropyre Ice Path. And in tower range, Phoenix is going to lose the 1-versus-1 duel against a support Jakiro. He was forced to use the Supernova very, very early on, and Derp just walked away from it. Like, there's no point sitting in that damage. He just completely avoided all of that damage and took the duel, and he won. Now it's going to be the push down the bottom lane for Wheelwreck, and I mean, they have the Jakiro still alive. He's in fact going to get juiced up all the way up to full thanks to the Omni Knight and thanks to his own urn. They're going to lose the top lane tier 2. I don't really think they care about that, as Meepo is actually going to get the deny, so and I don't know if the gold difference is going to matter, but it's just going to, like, twist the knife in the wound, and they're going to get a tower of their own. This one is definitely not going to be denied.
Yeah, with 5 Meepos and a Desolator on top of it, the towers are just going to melt. Their pushing power in the push in mid wasn't that great, but right now it's pretty ridiculous. Phantom Swain, even though he doesn't have that much stats, it doesn't actually matter. He's going to move aggressively. Doesn't find anybody. Now tornadoed up. The EMP's also flying through. This is probably your best hope to look for initiation. It's going to do quite a bit of damage to Phantom Swain, but now healed up by that mech. They'll find Ned in the Ice Path, Hoof Stomp, as well as Double Edge. Ned's going to be the one to fall. Icarus Dive comes through over the top, going to slow them down, but Vestius is ripped apart by Phantom Swain. The Geostrikes are going to be enough, as he's just going hog wild into the enemy base. He has an Aegis, he can do this. They're going to Hoof Stomp inside the enemy well. Yuka, Double Edge down, isn't going to lose his life, but then again, Dynasty Tail isn't going to be so lucky. Ultimate pop by this Shadow Fiend for nothing more than just to be flashy. The second barracks are going to go down in the favor of Wreck while whistling. And it seems that the tune's looking pretty good for them.
Yeah, this game seems pretty much over. Requiem of Souls, as far as celebration skill, is probably like one of the best ones. I mean, Supernova is pretty good at celebrating as well, but it is going to be a clean sweep. Wreck while whistling are going to kill off Yuka. One more for the road. Maybe the Death Prophet is going to live with the BKB? No. The Ancient is going to explode, unfortunately, right after, so Death Prophet does die. And unfortunately, that's it for today.
Yeah, it's always really weird to just have one game on the stream without a full series, but Wreck while whistling, I think rightfully so, take this 2-0. The first game, THD just didn't show up for it, and well, it's Wreck looking really strong. Even though they go for really peculiar picks, they just seem to make it work, and they definitely have a thumbs up in my book. I'm looking forward to seeing them play in the future.
Yeah, so it was impressive display, even with Omni Knight kind of being AWOL for most of those fights. They pulled together and house is down. Unfortunately, the Phoenix didn't really pan out, so looking forward to the next time I get to see the hero. Hopefully that's not too far away.
Well, thanks for watching. If you like the casting you see here, you can follow us on HeflaTV at Twitter, Facebook, as well as here on Twitch. If you want to find the VODs, they'll be uploaded to youtube.com/HeflaMoke. And as for me and Mike Loris, personally, you can find us at GrandusV and at Mike Loris, at Twitter, Facebook, pretty much everywhere. Either way, that's going to round out the stream for today, so thanks for watching, and we'll just go back and play some music and some ads. If you want to support us, that's a great way to do so. Hope to see you in some future broadcasts.
Later, guys.